Okay guys, hey, what's up? My name is Danielle. Oh, so I'm gonna put a pillow on my lap because I just haven't been feeling great. My name is Danielle, and I kind of just feel inspired to turn on the camera. I'm probably gonna have to stop it. It's probably gonna run out of batteries or something because this video is not planned. But I just feel like inspired to do a video kind of about chronic illness. I wouldn't really say this is in like to a particular chronic illness. I guess I'm speaking more towards the invisible chronic illnesses, the kind of illnesses where a person may seem okay, or say one thing but then smile a lot, or just seem okay or just look fine, like on the outside you don't see anything when really there's a war going on the inside. I'm not saying that there are people out there that don't abuse this and that don't take it too far. I'm sure there's a good amount of people out there that might say they're chronically ill, but maybe, I don't know, just are hypochondriacs or drug addicts or whatever else. So I'm not saying that there's people in your life that you doubt. I feel like those things are pretty, for somebody who's not ill and that doesn't live with the person, I feel like those are very easy assumptions to make. I'm more speaking towards the people that you have in your life, or just for the people who are chronically ill that are really chronically ill. That's kind of what I'm speaking towards. I don't really talk about this much on my channel because I just kind of like to, I'll tell you I don't feel good and stuff, but I don't know, like, I don't really know why I don't talk about it a lot. I think that it's just kind of a touchy subject, obviously. It's not an easy thing to go through. Yeah, so I don't have any like notes or directions. I'm just kind of speaking, and I only have 15 minutes, so I kind of have to do this quickly. Whatever's gonna come out's gonna come out. This is probably gonna be a random ass video, but it is what it is. I've been in like the worst flare. Well, not the worst, but a really bad flare. Last month I did okay. This month, not so okay. I've been in bed. My family's been having to pretty much fend for themselves. I just have not been well. I've literally been bedridden. I didn't change my clothes for like 3 days. My poor husband. I'm sure a lot of people out there who are chronically ill can you can like relate to the fact that just taking a shower is just such a chore. A chore where, when I say chore, I mean like it takes so much energy just to take a shower. So a lot of the times, like sometimes when I'm in a flare, I can't even shower. Or like if I do a lot during the day and I'm not in a flare, but I do a lot during the day, like I just don't have the energy by the end of the day to shower. God, it's so annoying because I love showering and it just sucks. I just want to kind of touch basis on like what it's like for me. For the first, I've been sick now for, I think it started in 2004. After my second child, I started noticing some random symptoms like brain fog and just like weird things. No pain or anything, just brain fog and just not really feeling right sometimes. And when I say brain fog, I don't mean like just, I don't know, just weird things. Like for instance, my brain fog feels like I'm hecka stoned, like I smoked tons of weed and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be stoned and I want to have a clear head. So, that just makes you feel like icky and paranoid and you can't concentrate. And so that's kind of how my brain fog affects me. It affects me cognitively. And I don't always have brain fog. It kind of comes and goes. I'm gonna look down a lot because I'm just trying to think, and I can't sometimes look at you guys and like think at the same time. I'm sorry if that's weird. And I'm going to probably not make a lot of sense sometimes. I'm doing the best I can, guys. What I was trying to say is, I don't know. I've just lost my train of thought. Of course. Oh, I've been ill, I would say, for about 11 years, and that's, when I say that, I remember little things, but it really started happening, and it's been like 10 years. For the first 5 years of my life, I went to doctor after 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 doctor. I can't even tell you how many pap smears I've had because I suffer from pelvic pain on top of all my other issues. Through this time, it just caused a lot of letdown. When you're told that you're fine or everything's fine, but yet you're not fine, I can't tell you what that does to the psyche. It's just like, well, am I crazy? Like, it's just a lot of things happen. And because of all the things that have happened and how I was treated in those 5 years, I have now developed, I would say, PTSD probably towards going to the doctor. I do have my few doctors I go to that I don't feel that way. But as far as like going to any new doctors or going and pursuing getting re-diet, you know, going down the path of being a good advocate for myself, I have developed a real fear to it. And it's not just even a fear, it's just, I know that, first of all, I'm scared of the outcome, whether it's they find something or they don't find something, either one. I would say more so that they don't find something, you know, because that is a very big possibility, especially with invisible diseases. Also, just the emotional aspect of it and the stress aspect of it alone, just it doesn't just happen right before the doctor's appointment and in the doctor's appointment. I mean, the whole time. It's a waiting process. It's the anticipation. It's the after process of, you know, soaking up what you heard at the doctor. You know, it's all these processes that you go through, and it is really, it's consuming. It takes up so much of my life, and I just remember, like, I feel like 5 years of my life are gone because I was always a really good mom, and I always would, you know, put a smile on my face and do the best I could, but I just remember being so consumed with the whole process, you know, and it's something that, you know, I try to block out because it's very disheartening. And so that means that I feel like I've blocked out a lot of like memories of like when my kids were growing up. And it's not on purpose, it's just, it was like really hard for me. So I think it just naturally, kind of your brain just naturally does that. It caused a lot of stress. I feel like that is exactly what caused my panic attacks when I started having them. And you know, then I was going to a counselor, or not a counselor, he was a cognitive doctor, which I love, by the way, 3 times a week for 2 years. And he dealt with the here and now, and he helped me so much, you guys. And I wish he was still practicing, because I feel like I would never find a doctor like him. I've been wanting to go talk to somebody so badly, but I just feel like I've been through so many counselors, so many therapists, but there was nobody like him. He was just one of the huge, like, big turning moments in my life. He helped me with so much, just so much. And he knew a lot about chronic illnesses. Anyway, so it was just really good for me. And then you run into people who had, you know, chronic illnesses, or they have dealt with autoimmune diseases, but then they've took their reins and they've gotten a diagnosis and they've healed themselves. And not healed themselves, but they are doing well. They're exercising and doing all these things, and that's great. Like, you know, that is awesome for those people, but that's just not the case for everybody. And I'm just not one of those cases. So it's really frustrating to hear sometimes, I guess. Like, I love it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be like that for everybody. And I tried so much, like, and I'm still trying, you know. It's like I live day to day, and I do the best I can day to day. I take every day at a time. And so, you know, when somebody is like that, more power to them. I am so happy for them. That is great. That's awesome. But that's just not the case for everybody. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can completely relate to that. I think more can relate to that than not. Just everybody's story is different, and my story has definitely been very challenging. And I know that my family and friends, like, have the best interest for me when they speak out and stuff, but I think people need to realize that you're not walking in that person's shoes. You don't live with them. You don't know what they've tried, what they've done. And sometimes sometimes you're helping can be just frustrating, because let me just speak for myself. I have tried so many things. And when I say try, like, it's not like I try a little. It's like I tried a lot. And I tried so many different ways. And I know now the one one of the best things that I've learned for myself is limitation. And I've learned my limitations, and I've had to disappoint a lot of people, a lot of family, a lot of friends because of these limitations. And that alone for me is so hard, because the last thing I want to do is disappoint my family and friends. And not only that, I miss out on a lot. And that's like the last thing I want to do is miss out. You know, I used to like go a lot. Like I was just everywhere, and I just, even though like I'm an introvert, like I still have fun hanging out with my friends and family, and I don't want to miss out. You know, I like doing things, but I just have had to learn limitations, and that's just my life, you know. And I think that some people think that like I just use that. The last thing I want to do is miss out on anything. Like I don't like to miss out on my life, you know. I don't want to miss out on memories. So it's just not the case. And I think that a lot of people think that because they're not here with me. They don't live with me like my kids and my husband do. They don't know what I go through. So when they see me, I'm smiling, because I tell you what, chronically ill people are very good at smiling and pretending like everything's okay, because the last thing they want to do is go out and be miserable, you know, or express miserable, or like try to grab attention from people, or, you know. So we go out and we have the best time, we put a smile on, we detach ourselves, and we do the best we can. That doesn't mean that there's not a war going on inside of our bodies, you know. That's just not the case. Like most of the time when my family sees me, the only time I really don't do things is when I really cannot do things. Like either I have multiple things going on as far as events or things or stuff like that, and I have to choose, because if I do too much, it'll either throw me in a flare or I'll be down for either days or weeks. You just don't know most of the time. But then there's other times where I literally cannot do it. Like I just can't. If I was to go, I would be just sitting there in misery, and there would not be able to be a smile on my face, because I just would not be able to hide it. And who wants to go and just be miserable sitting there and just wishing for it to be over? I mean, that's just not fun. And I've had to do that sometimes, and it's just not fun. Then there's other times where I don't feel well, but I feel well enough to go because I feel like it's important, and I feel like I need to go, or I miss that person, you know. And so I go and I put a smile on my face, and I don't, you know, if they ask me what's wrong, I'll be like, you know, I'm hanging in there, you know. I know for me, I'm gonna speak for me, I don't just deal with one symptom. I deal with so many symptoms that when people ask me, well, what are your symptoms? It's like, it's frustrating. Okay, so I think that if you are a person who is your friend's sick or your family's sick, don't ask them that question, because it's just like, who wants to name off their symptoms? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a good question to ask somebody who's ill what their symptoms are. For me, being positive is a choice. Like, well, first of all, I'm generally a pretty positive person, and I learned that about myself after James passed away. I just did. And then secondly, like, it's a choice. Like, I could very easily be miserable every single day with the kind of stuff that I go through. You know, my life is not a cakewalk. It's definitely every day there's new challenges, and there's new symptoms, and there's new just hurdles to jump over. And that can be very emotional, and it can really mess with your mind. So, you know, I would say I'm a very strong person. I have to choose to accept that part about myself without accepting that part about myself. You know, I'm not going to ever accept that I'm not ever going to get better, or maybe have longer times in between my flares. But at the same time, I'm not going to get my hopes up, because I've gotten my hopes up so many times. And you never say never, never say never. But at the same time, you kind of just live in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever say never, but at the same time, like, you just hope for the best. That's all I do. I just hope for the best. I hope for the best, and I hope that, you know, my flare goes away soon. But you have to also understand that when a person has flares,